I didn't expect them to welcome me, but I didn't think they'd pretend I never existed. The wind bit through my uniform as I stepped onto the memorial grounds. Rows of white chairs sat perfectly aligned under a grey sky, everyone occupied, except for the row where family was supposed to sit. That row had two names, Douglas Whitaker, beloved father of Elliot. No mention of me. It had been 10 years since I'd seen them. 10 years since I walked away from a family that made it clear I wasn't the daughter they wanted. Still, I came back for this. My father's funeral. Not to be forgiven, not even to forgive. Just to stand where blood was supposed to matter. But not a single head turned when I arrived. Not Elliot, who stood at the podium in a pressed navy suit, voice smooth as ever. Not my mother, Helen, sitting straight-backed, hands folded around a white program. Her expression didn't change, not even a twitch, like I was just another passing shadow. No seat was saved for me. No name read, no photo, and certainly no silence held for the other child. The stone read, Douglas Whitaker, statesman, father of Elliot. Not loving father, not even husband. Just a curated title, and just like that, I knew I hadn't been forgotten, I'd been erased. I turned to leave, quietly, the way they always preferred I do things. No scene, no tears, just another quiet exit. But then, the boots. Sharp, deliberate, marching straight down the aisle between the graves. Every head turned, even Elliot looked up. And then a voice rang out, clear, trained, impossible to ignore. Lieutenant General Jennifer Whitaker. Present, ma'am. The man wore his dress blues like second skin. A colonel, not someone planted by PR, not family, not press, just a soldier, someone who knew who I was, and said it out loud for everyone to hear. Gasps rippled. One camera flash popped. I didn't speak, I didn't smile. I only stood taller. My mother's jaw tightened. Elliot adjusted his tie. He wouldn't dare meet my eyes. There are revenge stories, and then there are stories like this, where the moment someone tries to bury your name, the world says it louder. I stepped forward. My boots struck the gravel with weight. I walked past the people who edited me out of our family tree, past the man who inherited everything, and stopped at the front row. The colonel saluted again. I returned it. This time no one pretended not to see me. This time they all had to sit and watch. Even if they never said my name again, someone already had. And that was enough. For now. The last time I saw my mother, she told me, "You chose combat boots over heels. Don't expect a place at the table." That was 10 years ago. I laughed it off back then, thought it was just her pride talking. But now, standing at the edge of the estate, where every window glowed with warmth except the one that used to be mine, I saw the truth. It wasn't pride. It was intentional erasure. I used to be in every photo along the staircase. First recital, ROTC honour, my commissioning. Now, nothing. Just Elliot, just him, the golden boy, the legacy, the true heir of the Whitaker name. And me? According to the new family album, I'd never been born. I walked past a hallway mirror. My reflection startled me. Not because of how I looked, but because I realised no one in this house had seen this version of me. Lieutenant General, 27 commendations, IED scars still healing. To them, I was still the girl who ran away from politics, still the daughter who disappointed. That night, I walked into the family library. Elliot's graduation photo hung above the fireplace. A plaque read, "Carrying on the family legacy." It used to say our legacy. My hands trembled, not from anger, but from knowing that for a full decade they'd built a life that didn't need to include me, not even in memory. And I kept asking myself quietly, shamefully, what did I do that was so unforgivable? Choosing duty over dinner parties, serving my country instead of serving donors. Maybe you felt this too, when your name fades from the group chats, the photos, the invites. Not because you left, but because someone decided you didn't belong anymore. If you've ever felt like that, you already know it's not the silence that hurts most. It's knowing they planned it. I found a drawer in the desk. Inside, a family tree chart Elliot had printed for some legacy campaign. The last name on the list, Helen Whitaker, mother of Elliot. Father's name, Elliot's name, even the dog's. But no Jennifer. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just took a pen from the drawer and wrote my name back in. No one else may remember I existed, but I do. And I was done asking for permission to belong. The room hadn't changed. Same walnut desk, same stiff leather chair, same heavy curtains drawn halfway to keep the sun from fading old portraits. My father's study always felt like a war room disguised as a museum. Everything had a place. Everything stayed still, just like the day he died. I moved slowly, trailing my fingers along the edge of his desk. There was a locked drawer on the right. I already knew which one. The key? My sister Emily had slipped it into my hand after the funeral. She hadn't said a word, just pressed it into my palm, eyes darting away like she was breaking some family oath. The key slid in with a soft click. Inside, a bundle of envelopes tied with navy ribbon. My name was on every single one. I froze. I couldn't breathe for a moment. The date started back in 2012. One for each year. No stamps, no postmarks, just written, sealed, and hidden. He wrote to me, all these years, and no one ever sent a thing. I opened the top letter, hands trembling. Dear Jennifer, I don't know if this will reach you. Your mother says it's better to leave the past alone. But I saw the footage from Kabul. You moved like you were born for it. I'm proud of you. I always was. I just didn't say it loud enough. I read it twice. Then again, he wasn't silent. They silenced him. Beneath the stack of letters was a thick envelope with a Department of Defense seal. I unfolded it slowly. Command, Transfer, Authorization, Redfield Program, signed by my father, designating me as successor. But something was wrong. There was no timestamp, no digital record, no processing stamp. It had never been submitted. Then I saw it at the bottom. Second signature, Helen Whitaker. Printed beneath, Oversight Chair, Civilian Ethics Board, my mother. The realization hit like cold iron to the ribs. She didn't just ignore my career, she helped bury it. 10 years ago, I was pulled from the Redfield program after a field mishap. I thought it was bad luck. Bureaucracy, internal reassignment, but now it was her. My own mother sat on the civilian review panel that suspended my clearance, and she never said a word. I stood there in the quiet, the envelope open in one hand, the letter in the other. The silence in that room wasn't peaceful. It was built to keep secrets. She could have spoken. She could have said, "I did it to protect you." She didn't. She just let me rot in silence, while Elliot rose with clean hands. I looked down at the authorization again. My father chose me, not as a daughter, as a commander, as his legacy. And my mother made sure no one would ever know. But now I knew. And I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. The letter from my father lay unfolded on the hotel desk, the transfer order beside it, still bearing his signature, my mother's too, but only one of them meant it, the other signed to bury it. By morning I was back in uniform, not to impress anyone, just to remember who I was before they tried to strip it away. Reeve met me at a small defence archive building on the south side of DC. She was already waiting with coffee and a folder. "This is going to hurt," she said, "but you need to see it." Inside the folder, a transcript. Classified meeting minutes from a closed Civilian Ethics Board session. Dated 11 years ago, 2 weeks before I was pulled from Redfield. My mother was present, and then I saw it. Line 4, timestamp 0942. Helen Whitaker. Her loyalty is inconvenient. If she stays in the program, everything tied to Douglas's private foundation becomes visible. We can't risk that. Remove her before Q4. My own mother, calling me a threat, not a daughter, calling my loyalty inconvenient. That was the word that stuck in my skull. Not insubordinate, not emotional, just inconvenient, like I was an obstacle to be cleared quietly. She didn't just silence you, Reeve said, voice tight. She protected Elliot's access to your father's funding networks. I leaned forward. So this wasn't just personal. No, she said. It was strategic. Then came the next blow. Reeve slid over another document, a financial trail, $2.7 million. Pulled from my father's memorial fund, routed through 2 shell nonprofits. Final recipient, a PAC affiliated with Elliot's state campaign. No press had touched it, not yet. They sold your silence, Reeve said. I stared down at the numbers. My father's face on the donation page. His name used to fuel a campaign that erased me, and I had no seat at the table, no voice in the press, no mention in the damn obituary, but I had the truth now. And that's where their mistake started. They thought keeping me quiet was protection. They thought fading me out would make me give up. They didn't count on me remembering how to fight. I stood. We're going public. Reeve raised an eyebrow. Now? Not yet, I said. Not until I line up every piece. And when I do, I'm not just going after them. I'm taking the table they tried to keep me from, every chair, every nameplate, and flipping it. She smirked. That's the Jennifer I remember. Maybe, but I wasn't her anymore. Now, I was the woman they tried to erase. And I was coming back in bold. The chamber was colder than I expected, not physically, just in posture. The kind of stillness that came when people weren't sure if they were about to witness justice or a train wreck. I walked in wearing full dress whites, ribbons polished, brass gleaming. My boots echoed down the marble floor louder than I liked, but I didn't slow down. Behind the panel of defense oversight senators, the gallery was packed. Reporters, former colleagues, civilian observers, and right there, front row, sat my mother, Helen Whitaker, impeccably dressed, perfect posture, face carved from stone. She didn't blink. Elliot sat beside her, his expression unreadable, hands folded in that political way, elbows tight. For once, he wasn't centre stage. I took my seat at the witness table. A military aide slotted the flash drive into the system. Screens behind me lit up. Lieutenant General Jennifer Whitaker, the lead senator said, adjusting his mic. You are here to provide evidence regarding your removal from the Redfield program and related financial misappropriations. Please proceed. I didn't waste time. I spoke plainly, clearly. Let the facts speak. My father's unsigned command transfer. My mother's hidden signature on the Civilian Ethics Board. The shell nonprofits linked to Elliot's campaign. The voice transcript calling my loyalty inconvenient. Then came the moment I'd prepared for, but wasn't ready for. The senator nodded. At this time, we opened the floor to supplemental testimony, and my mother stood, not a word, no signal. She just rose, walked past the barrier, and faced the panel like she owned the room. Mrs. Whitaker, the senator began, this is a restricted... She held up a hand. I'll be brief. Then she turned to the press, the politicians, to me. Jennifer is acting alone. The family does not support this inquiry. Her father never intended for private family affairs to be aired like this. What she's doing now is personal, not principled. The room went still. Every breath, every heartbeat froze. Reeve, standing near the back wall, didn't move, but I could see her jaw clench. I looked at my mother. At the woman who once braided my hair before my first parade, the woman who watched my promotions from behind a screen but never called, and now she was here, not to defend me, but to bury me again. The senator shifted uncomfortably. General Whitaker, do you wish to respond? I stood slowly. My palms were flat on the table. No, I don't need to. I reached into the folder and pulled out the audio transcript. The room's screens lit up again. Remove her before Q4. If she stays, we lose control of the foundation. She's loyal, but that makes her dangerous. And the voice? Helen Whitaker. Gasps rippled through the room. A press badge fell to the ground. Elliot's face drained of colour. I met her eyes. "You already gave your statement, Mum," I said quietly. "You gave it 11 years ago when you chose your reputation over your daughter." She didn't reply. She didn't have to. She turned and walked out, heels echoing off the stone like a final verdict. The lead senator adjusted his glasses. "General Whitaker, pending further review of this evidence, your command status will be reinstated for the duration of the investigation." I nodded once. Understood. As I stepped away from the microphone, a staffer whispered, "That was something." I didn't stop, because that wasn't the end. It was the beginning of them realizing I was still standing, and I wasn't leaving the room this time. The hall inside the Pentagon shimmered under the polished brass lighting. Rows of uniforms, medals, reporters, analysts, every seat filled. At the front, a podium flanked by the flag and the Navy SEAL. Behind that, a wall lined with portraits and citations. My name used to never appear in any of them. Today, it was engraved in stone. I stood in full dress whites, my restored ribbons catching light as I walked slowly toward the front. The announcer's voice was calm, steady. "By authority of the Department of Defense, we hereby reinstate Lieutenant General Jennifer Whitaker with full honors and recognition for service rendered without compromise." A soft wave of applause began, then rose. It wasn't the roar of victory, it was something deeper, something earned. Reeves stood at the edge of the crowd, arms crossed, nodding once. Beside her, Ethan, one of the few people who knew what this actually cost, gave a quiet smile. As I stepped up to the podium, I didn't prepare a speech. I just looked across the sea of faces, some familiar, some not, and said, "They thought silence was safer than truth, but silence doesn't honour service, and it damn sure doesn't build legacy." I paused, scanning the front row. My mother wasn't there. Elliot wasn't either. But I wasn't looking for them anymore. This moment wasn't for them. "This isn't just for me," I continued. "This is for anyone who's ever been cut out, overlooked, or told they were too inconvenient to be remembered. You don't have to disappear just because someone pretends you did." I stepped down. Later that afternoon, I walked the west corridor of the Hall of Honor. I stopped at the newest installation. A framed photo of my father and me, taken when I was 10. I was saluting him. He was laughing. It was the only photo where we looked like we were equals. Beneath it, a brass plaque read, "Lieutenant General Jennifer Whitaker, daughter, officer, truth-bearer. Emily met me there, quiet." She handed me a small box. Dad kept this, found it buried in a locked cabinet. I opened it. Inside, the original medal for the Redfield program. Untouched, never awarded, still waiting. "I think," she whispered, "he always meant for it to come back to you." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I slipped the medal into my coat pocket and turned toward the exit. Outside, a reporter rushed forward, breathless. "General Whitaker, do you forgive your family?" I looked straight at her. "Forgiveness isn't silence," I said. "It's just not asking for permission anymore." Then I walked away. This time, not as the daughter they left behind, but as the woman who outlasted the erasure. If you've ever felt like you had to earn your place in your own family, if someone ever tried to erase you just because you chose a different path. Tell me this in the comments. Did Jennifer do the right thing by speaking out? Or should she have walked away in silence? I'll be reading every word.